I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Yeah, that's fine. It should be
You
up.
came.
Oh,
Sorry.
We
No,
were going to
oh,
make.
there we go.
We were going to make
sorry, I
you
should have
stay.
Oh, sorry.
Just talking about
Just straight wire.
traffic light.
Oh, wait.
If we have a rotary, that won't be a problem.
We just at least weren't sure about Dan. We weren't sure about Dan. He was going to be at the other meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Hang on one second. I just was at the wrong agenda.
Yeah.
The smell or something?
No. We have a quorum, so
Okay.
There we
we don't
go.
want to stay.
Somehow I got
We
to
just
July.
weren't sure about Dan.
Feels like it should be July still.
I know. Now it should be.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now
Close
it's
to me.
good now.
Okay.
We're officially
Go
live.
Joanna.
Hi.
So you had to hit the ground running today.
Yeah, today's hasn't been a good day.
Well, we'll make it better tonight. I'm sure.
Promise.
Yep.
How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Oh, did you see?
Hanging in there.
Oh, Lise left? Okay. Bye, Lise. Take her off the
Okay,
list.
so can I call the meeting?
Yeah.
This is still on the road. All right, old business discussion, possible decision, application 831-969 Main Street, grading and septic and upland review area associated with construction of new home, Executive Estates Realty LLC, which we had no issues
Yeah, I
with
don't know if you
last
want
month.
to look at the plans again. I think everyone was here at the last meeting. But right, it was an existing lot, new house in the upland review area, no direct disturbance to the wetland.
We were just waiting like on a septic.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And I think I emailed that out. The sanitarian approved the plan. The one minor finding I had last minute was that the driveway shown a little too close to the property line. So I showed it to the zoning officer, and so when they go to apply for the building permit, they'll scooch it over. But I talked to the engineer, and it shouldn't impact the limit of disturbance. It's like, I think they have to move it over at most 4 feet at the closest spot. I think they just didn't realize what the setbacks were in town. I don't think they've really done much work in town, but otherwise, and actually, and Eversource just was over there, doing some, cutting right by the wetland.
Oh, right.
Anyway, well, I talked to the developer. They're gonna put some rocks, kind of. So I was worried that would become a very attractive location to enter the site repeatedly. So we talked about trying to make it not so attractive. But otherwise, yeah, there weren't any other lingering things other than the sanitarian's approval, which we do have. But did anyone have questions on that one?
Now, do we want to start asking all applicants to contact you before the beginning of?
Yeah, I think I mentioned to Joan, I think that it would probably be a good just standard
Policy,
condition
yeah.
to have applicants contact me before they start work, because sometimes, very often, erosion controls are not installed properly, and then when I do get out there, it's kind of a constant source of frustration. So for me to come see the erosion controls once they're in and give them the go-ahead to continue work. On this site, when I went out there and met with them, I suggested that they probably use straw wattles. Like pretty much every engineer will say silt fence, but this site's very rocky and lots of tree roots, and just if it's not this, even when the site's ideal, a silt fence isn't installed correctly, and then if there's any obstacles, then it's not working at all. So anyway, but yeah, so in this case, I already did meet with them, but yeah, I think that would be a good policy.
Can you, like, on the permit that you issue, just make that like a blanket statement where they contact you prior to proceeding?
It's a good question. I don't know if I can require if it's not a condition.
Wait, are we talking specific to wetland applications or all?
Yeah, for wetland
Okay.
applications.
Specific to wetland applications.
But I mean, we would have to say it as a complete.
I
part
think
of our
so.
approval.
Some towns
Just
have
gonna
come
to
up
add it
with
to the
like,
list.
To the printout?
I know. Well, you know what? I have encountered towns that have like a list of standard conditions that they might just reference the standard conditions. So we could like think on that if there's anything else we want to make like just standard, but follow the erosion control guidelines.
It's better to state it so that, because if you just say, oh, and then followed, they're not going to.
Yeah, that's true. And now we have a new town engineer who seems great so far, and so it might be a good opportunity to kind of pose them some ideas or see what they've seen work in other towns, because they represent a lot of other towns too, so you can see how everybody else does it.
Okay, I need a motion, Drew.
Oh, put that pressure on. Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve application 831-969 Main Street, grading and septic and upland review area associated with construction of a new home. I hereby move that the application be approved based on the following. The Commission finds the applicant has submitted all necessary application materials pursuant to Section 211-7 of the Wetland Regulations, including but not limited to Section 211-7E5, alternatives considered and rejected. The Commission did not find the proposed activity significant, and the Commission, I'm like just back from vacation, so give me a minute here. The Commission finds that the criteria set forth in Section 211-10B have been met by the applicant. And a condition that Joanna be notified upon installation of erosion and sediment control measures
Prior to proceeding
prior
with earthwork
to
or
proceeding with additional work.
yeah. We get that.
Yeah.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Now, any further questions of Joanna?
I'm just thinking more logistically on this condition. So would the premise be that you're going to go out and visually inspect those prior to them, or depends
Yeah.
on it's like a case-by-case basis?
I mean, I think there might be some exceptions where it's not necessary, but for the most point, my brain is fried.
You caught what I have.
Yeah, I'm just like fried from the sun for the last like 3 hours, but typically I'd say I would like to have an opportunity to put eyes on it. I guess at that point, if they notify me, I could always make a judgment call if I can't get out there and they need to start, and it's not one I'm really worried about. But on both sides, it would be nice if I could see it, because sometimes they'll get the wetland permit and then there's this big lag time before they start work, and then I don't notice right away and something could get out of hand.
So the only reason I bring it up is, like, if you went out there and you did see something off,
yeah.
then you're going to make recommendations, which hopefully they, implement. But like, what does that process look like? Do we need different language to support that, in the sense that it's actually like you signing off on the installation of their erosion and control measures?
Like instead of just notifying me
Yeah.
to notify me and receive approval before proceeding.
Yeah, even if it's like verbal, or I don't know if it needs to be in writing.
Yeah, I think it can be. We could probably leave that a little open to, like, that they receive.
But like with this
approval.
condition, do you think you could elaborate on that in the approval, to just say like it requires your
Proper erosion controls set up.
approval by the wetlands agent prior to commencing further site work or something like that?
Yeah, inspection and approval of erosion control installation.
I don't know, just something to think about.
Yeah.
I don't have to decide now, but it just was
Yeah.
in the event that you did see something that didn't look right,
Right, that they're not like, oh, well, we told you, now we'll keep going. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. The wordsmithing is the thing. And this one, I've spoken with them directly, and including the guy doing the site work, so they're aware and also very visible from the road. So, but yeah, we could play around with that wording more for future event. I could try to write something a little more thoughtful.
It came up too because one that we had approved a couple months ago, and she requested to be notified, and then we were told that there was work going on, and she hadn't. So,
Oh, yeah.
so that's kind of what prompted it. So, okay. So all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right, new business. Show cause hearing. Order to cease and correct violation 47 Old Hampton Road, site work causing erosion and sedimentation of watercourse, Giuliano Family One LLC.
Okay, so apologies, part of my scrambling, I ended up out at 3 sites, including this one, just before, actually 4 sites, including this one before the meeting, and so I'm a little scrambling. I didn't get to print my photos that I just took or anything, but I guess what transpired was evidence of sedimentation of Thrasher Brook was submitted to the town, and in response to that, I guess first the zoning enforcement officer issued an enforcement order, and then I had also spoken with our chair and vice chair and issued an order to cease and correct. The conservation order was more specific to the sedimentation of Thrasher Brook, and the letter referenced past issues and communication, and I think I emailed that out to everybody. But so right now, the order from the zoning officer required certain steps to be taken regarding erosion sediment control and development of a plan. It didn't require that other activities stop on the site. For wetlands, typically the procedure has been a hard stop, aside from specific orders of elements that we want to see happen immediately. So in this case, it was stop everything except for doing erosion control and stabilization efforts. But in issuing an order to cease and desist or cease and correct, we're required by law to hold a show cause hearing within 10 days, so that the party subject to the order can come be heard by the commission and discuss the order, and they can make their case as to why the order shouldn't stand or maybe should be modified, and then the commission can decide whether to keep the order in place, lift the order, modify the order. And we had that in not too distant history anywhere, where we modified an order at a show cause hearing. So it's not a public hearing, but it's really just a hearing to, since this isn't an application, it's an enforcement situation, we hold the hearing so that the affected party can come resolve the issue with the commission. So that's where we are. Not sure
Do you have, by chance, do you have copies of that order? I knew you
of the order?
emailed, but
I think I just have one of mine and one of the zoning
I have them
one.
memorized.
do you have the zoning one too, or no?
Yeah,
Is
okay,
there-
and I have
is
one
there
of each. I think.
overlap on the two, or no?
For
Yeah,
the sedimentation, yeah.
yeah, they both ask for. Let's see. I think the main overlap is developing an ENS plan and establishing ENS controls.
They required a plan by August 19th.
I can give you a little update too once you're ready for that. Does anybody else want? I have one more copy of those if anybody else wants to look at them.
Which obviously never happened.
And then, can I look at
That
this
one.
one? Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So I have visited the site twice in the last week or so. So I visited the day before issuing the order. I visited the site on the 4th, just after the discharge to Thresher Brook had occurred. And then I revisited this afternoon. I think the best way. So when I visited on the 4th, I did, see evidence of the issues that were presented to the town, and there wasn't active sedimentation at the time. The rain event had ended, but I could see where there had been sediment in the road and in kind of a collection area of drainage from the site that then when it overflows it goes to Thresher Brook. And I did visit like the active earthwork part of the site and saw where measures in place had maybe been overwhelmed. There are measures in place to control sediment within the site, but some maintenance was needed, and sedimentation, like there's, for example, there's some diversions or kind of ditches made to bring stormwater from the earthwork part of the site into detention basins to allow sediment to settle out and not let it run off the site, which generally in smaller rain events seem to have held up all right, but that large rain event seemed to overwhelm it. I didn't see evidence, though, of any massive failure going down the slope from it, but there was sediment within the drainage ditch along the driveway that then collects along Old Hampton Road and then discharges to Thresher Brook. So I was trying to figure out what the main contributor was. Oh, and then there was also maybe a little more incidental sediment coming down off bike paths down the steep slope from the property to Old Hampton Road. I did see some sediment in the road, and that might have contributed some sediment, but to me the bigger source seemed to be the drainage coming down the driveway ditch and then under the road via culvert to Thresher Brook. So that was what I observed on the 4th, then issued the order. It was sent both by email and certified mail, and then now approximately a week later I revisited the site and I did see many measures put in place to improve the situation out there. In this past week, those diversions that feed the detention basin on the site had eroded into very large gullies, taller than me. Well, that's not saying much. 1.5 of me. But now they're filled in and lined with stone. And, they'll still need to be monitored to see if they hold up. But in the meantime, and the detention basin that they drain to has been excavated back out. So the sediment that had filled it had filled in quite a bit from that rain event. But now that's been re-excavated to allow it to hold stormwater again. And then where those trails meet the road, there's been erosion controls put in place and, some effort there, but still more will need to be done. And I think what we're really looking for is a formal plan of stormwater control and erosion sediment control by an engineer to fully resolve this. But I just wanted to give you kind of an update now, and then we also have the property owner here to talk to you as well. But
So, yeah, I mean, it would be good to hear, from the property owner's perspective as well. This is not the first time this site has been brought to our attention, and I don't know, I think you guys recall, but back in December, we were made aware of, some similar erosion occurring, and I think it was over like the holidays, and
it was like right before New Year's.
Yeah. So I volunteered to drive out there just to take a look along the road there, and I saw, basically the same condition you're describing, which was, that sediment.
Are you talking about December, or are you talking about now?
December.
December.
Okay.
Yeah. And, there was quite a bit of sediment discharging in that culvert right into the brook. I followed it down the brook, it went quite a ways all the way down Stafford Road and whatnot. So, it's a little surprising because I know after that there were some controls put in place. I know we had some pretty good rain events, but at the same time, like, they're not unexpected. And given, this amount of disturbance up there, like, I'm kind of surprised that we're still having this conversation at this point, because somehow, like, we got to figure out how to, carry on without impacting that brook. I mean, that whole road is somewhat problematic to the way the brook just kind of traverses on both sides of the road, and the road itself isn't very stable. The banks of the road aren't stable.
Right, that's the other source that I didn't mention was the road itself and the
So, we can't move the brook, but we got to do what we can to manage it,
Yeah, it's not a great configuration. Yeah.
But so the measures that were put in place from December to now, though, are not adequate. Is that a fair assessment?
So, I think, like, some maintenance was lacking, and that also perhaps they weren't adequate for that size rain event, and that's where I think an engineered plan would be useful. That way things are sized to handle, certain size storm events, and the way that everything's draining. Because I was having a hard time. It's a large site and lots of topography. I was trying to figure out, like, what the main source was that was, like, getting to that drainage ditch that ends up eventually going across the road to Thresher Brook. And it's a little bit of a puzzle, because I was thinking I'd see some large gully going down the slope or something like that, and there was no, like, smoking gun, so to speak. Like, I don't know if it's just generalized sediment. There's a lot of open soil in general, and there's also, it also is carried by wind. There's, like, wind erosion too, which we don't really talk about, but maybe some, water could be used to but I think I don't want to prescribe anything right now because it'd be good to have that engineered plan. But yeah, on some sites they'll use water to try to keep down, like, the wind erosion and the blowing. Because I don't know if it's just the sum total of it just
Yeah.
becomes like a much bigger deal because of the scope, the scale of the site. But yeah, I didn't see like just some major breach that would have been the obvious issue to point to.
So the other thing that was brought up in prior discussions was the possible need for like a permit from the state for managing stormwater. Are you able to like speak to that at all, or?
Yeah, so I did, I should have written down the dates, have a
Take that
call with Connecticut Deep Stormwater Division, both the zoning officer and myself, and for part of it, the director of land use, shortly after the order was issued.
Wasn't that Wednesday?
I know, like everything's a blur in the last 2 weeks or so. Oh, right, because it was a day I wasn't here. I think you're right. I think that was Wednesday last week. And that question was asked if there should be a permit from Deep Stormwater for this activity, but, and I don't have my notes from that conversation, but what we got from Deep Stormwater was the way that the site's being used currently doesn't trigger their stormwater general permit. And I'm afraid of using the wrong terms now because they have like an industrial stormwater general permit, and but the way that the site's being used, using materials from the site for the property owner's business, did not seem to trigger that requirement with Deep, but they did say, because to my knowledge, the plan is for the site to transition from this current process, using materials from the site, to more of a development. And at that point, if it's a development and there's disturbance over 5 acres, it would trigger Deep stormwater permitting. So,
But what about the fact that it's over 5 acres now? They don't care about that?
I guess not, because it's because of the nature of the work.
Okay.
They do care about pollution of waters of the U.S. in general. So, they were made aware that the zoning officer had issued an order, and actually I think I was on the cusp of issuing an order. I think I issued the order like the next day. So Deep mostly asked that we keep them updated. They did ask for photos and basically said if you don't get cooperation to your orders, and let us know, and they could consider stepping in. So right now it's in kind of a I think they felt as though the town was being responsive, and that they would only step in if
Right.
that didn't. Yeah.
2 days before the meeting was the first, other than you.
The meeting.
speaking
Oh, with the
them.
meeting with Deep?
Yeah.
Or
That the town finally took action 2 days before the meeting.
oh,
with
okay.
Deep.
Yeah. I get you.
In terms of issuing the order?
Or doing anything.
Oh.
I mean,
I heard there was talk about trying to figure out if like state permits were required for a while, and it seemed like it's just as difficult to get a hold of anybody over there anyways, right?
yeah.
So, well, I'm glad that at least you're able to have that conversation. And, part of me asking is just because I think the goals are similar, right? In terms of what the state would be looking for, what we're concerned about, and ultimately the corrective actions we would be looking for are going to cover the same types of things. So I was just curious what their position
Yeah.
was on it. Okay. I don't know. You want to get any other?
I don't have anything else to say.
Do you want to hear from?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Would you like to
Sure. Let me sit right here.
approach? Yeah, feel free to pull up a chair or whatever you're more comfortable with.
Sure. So I'm Bri Giuliano from 107 Hamden Road, Somers, Connecticut. property that I own is 47 and 7 Old Hampton Road. So in December, there was a call to the town that somebody had a video of some stuff going down the hill into the brook. So we went out shortly thereafter. I think we met up there and we looked at a lot of different scenarios, and we came up with a really good plan, and we put it into place right away. So we got a bunch of locks. We brought in 180 cubic yards of like a 6 to 8 inch like riprap stone, so we could start creating locks, where the stormwater control goes down the side of the roads in there.
Like stone check dams.
So we kept putting check dams in and whatnot, and up top we made sure we had a nice little like basin to take any type of rain. It doesn't matter if it's like that. I don't know if you guys were here in October of 2004, but like the whole town got washed out. We learned a lot from that, and so I always, when I'm doing stuff, I'm planning for that. So like what we're talking about here is like we have the controls up there to hold down that type of 2004 type storm. But what I didn't do a good job at this season is maintaining like those little check dams. So like when we were up there and I was showing you and I pointed out where I have to improve this and I have to do it now. So it's a dirt road, the Old Hampton Road's a dirt road. There's a dirt road going in there, and it's like basically a dirt bike pit. It's always been that way. And when you were there today, you probably saw possibly up to 6 different dirt bikes, and on your way out, you saw dirt bikes heading into
Right.
So it's a lot. But at the end of the day, it's my property, so I need to control that. So we got to just go in there and get as the silt has come down and built up on the locks, it's no longer a lock. It's just basically like a ramp. So it's able to come down and go over that one and go over and go over and go over. So it just needs somebody to spend a couple days up there and get rid of that silt, put it in that big basin up top, on the side. And then as we went up top, you saw I had a reserve. I had a couple loads of that 8-inch rock, so I have it there ready to go. On top of that being done, Joanne and I walked, and there's one little area where you wanted to see some straw wattle coming off of that double silt fence. But the fence that you asked me to put up around the holidays is really good. So like that area, and when we're putting up silt fence, it's double. And like the measures, there was some videos that came in after this last rain event, and like that material is not coming from, and you could feel free to comment, but it's not coming from our site. Like it's coming from the slopes. Like it's not coming from the work area. Where the work area, where we have that special use permit up there, it's like encapsulated by like a giant trench with 2 feet of stone in it that was inspected by Joanna, and then it has a big area like half the size of a football field to hold everything in. So nothing can leave the work site. Our challenge is like just the regular dirt and dust and stuff blowing around and getting into those trenches and just coming off of those dirt roads. Just like I went up there that morning, it was 5:45 in the morning I went up there, and I think it really started to hit around like 5:50, 5:55. And like I can see what it's doing to the road, and I can see where Thrasher Brook crosses, which is way up, where Thrasher Brook crosses that road closer to the Massachusetts border, which is way up past me and past our access road in there. That was flowing just as brown as the pipes down low where the videos depict us, dumping into. So nevertheless, that's what has to happen, is that maintenance. We have our engineers working on a plan for a development there. I don't know when they're going to be done with that, but that plan is going to have all the stormwater management on it. And obviously, then you'll have something official. But in the meantime, we've done, leaps and bounds up there to take care of everything. And we just have to do the rest of the maintenance in those trenches on the side of the roads that eventually lead there, like your visit in December or January, like what you saw in there. That's just all that side of the road stuff. It's a road like this that starts way, way up top, and it's just faster and faster and faster. We were doing great. So by the time the water got down there, let's say, right after I did that, or even in the early spring, it was drinking water by the time it got down there. But now those are all plugged up, and they have to be taken care of. So.
But isn't there also a lot of erosion just coming down your property, down the hillside from the bikes?
See, when you're on Old Hampton Road, you can see where there's 2 trails where bikes are entering in there.
Right.
One is before my access road. So like if you go there in a rain event, yep, the water comes down those. They're like 8-inch gullies. There's one where the 4-wheelers go up and spin the tires, and the one where the dirt bikes go up. And brown water just comes all the way down, and then it goes into like what the town of Summers did about 10 years ago when they redid the road, whenever it was, 8 years ago. And they have some cool things in place, but they haven't been maintained since the town did that. So that comes down my hill, goes in there, and then it just kind of sits in the bottom, and it has some good retention. But if it rises up in a ridiculous rain event, it will get high enough to come into that pipe. So what we did is we went up there and we put like double silt fence and a berm in place. So if it was to rain right now during this meeting, nothing would come into the road and nothing would go across the road.
And those are two different issues, though. She's talking about the hillside where the dirt bikes are going up and down. That's separate from...
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you're talking about the hillside that we saw, or are you talking about inside the area where we're actually working?
I think you're
No,
talking
not
about the
where
same
you
thing,
were.
the trails that come down to Old Hampton Road.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
and I didn't
Because
get to
that's
print my
still
pictures. but-
sediment that's ending up in the brook, regardless of whether it's from your site, from the dirt bike trails, or what.
But
We
that is
own-
what he's responding to, that erosion controls were installed there as well, just in this past week.
Right. But
See if I can.
So we sewed that up this week and put double silt fence. We put some
so that's going to
riprap
be
rock.
permanent?
Yeah, I mean for now
The
until we
silt
get the
fence?
engineer plans.
So that's what, like running along the side of the road?
It's right where those trails come down. We like took silt fence and kind of made like a smiley face around it to harness it in, double silt fence, and then instead of it running right into the road right now and across to Thrasher Brook, we built, and there's pictures there, we built a nice berm which diverts it into a low retention area that the town had created whenever they did that road. So now instead of coming across the road, it goes into a town created retention area. That
Is this the same retention area we're talking about that has the culvert going into the brook?
Yeah,
No, no.
it's no,
No,
sorry.
it's not. There's where I did that, they have like a separate retention area that just goes to a dead end. That is big enough to handle what's just coming down that little dirt bike track. It's not big enough to handle
But
like...
it doesn't have an outlet to it?
No, it's
Okay.
just a holding area to let the water percolate into the
Yeah,
ground.
it's not as big as the other. But yeah, so now there's a dirt berm and then silt fence, and then we were talking about either vegetating the berm or rip-wrapping it to stabilize that berm.
Then we went up.
How about not letting the bikes dig up the hill and cause all the erosion in the first place?
Well, that's tough. You know, I mean, like people, we ride up there, but when we go there, we don't go up the side of the hill. We just drive up on our trucks with our trailer and unload them and go riding. The way that you're supposed to go in there is on the state border of the two states. There's like an actual road that is like level with what we call the pit, and you just go right in flat. So you're not climbing a hill and spinning tires and creating all this stuff. So like today, that's the way. Like we saw bikes that were riding in there. I don't know who they are. It's like they're not. It's not my friends and family. Like they just went in there. But now that I have that silt fence and that berm in place, you can't. Like they're not going through there.
But
Like,
are they
they're not-
just going to go right next to it, where they're going to do the same
The
thing
town has
again?
like huge mounds higher than the ceiling next to it on one side, and on the other side is that low area that they dug out. So like, I guess you theoretically could, but typically I see these dirt bikers take like the path of least resistance to get in there. So what they did is I blocked that off, and then which is over with, and I do not believe they're going to go through there. But they found another area where I took you further north, past my entrance, closer to instead of going all the way to the state line and going in the way that I would like to see them go in, they went up the hill again, caused another area for erosion, which there was a video sent to the town, and we took care of that with 8-inch rock and double silt fence and stuff. That's such a small little new area. The fact that I closed it off, I don't see anybody going up there. And since I did that, as you saw, nobody has gone up there. So like now they're like forced to go in the way that we have always gone in since I was a kid, which is which is Mr. Kibbe's property, right on the state border where my land meets his. But
Oh, is that the sawmill property?
the sawmill gentleman who just passed away not
Oh, I
long
didn't
ago.
hear he passed away.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, in the winter. But
Yeah.
he owns all the way up to the
I'm
top.
just concerned that this is going to continue, they're just going to find another spot, and then we're just going to see more of this possibly if you're allowing anybody and everybody on your land.
The only people that we're allowing on the land are like
But you
us.
said today you didn't know who was even going on the
Right,
land.
but I'm not a police officer, so I can't stop that. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
you might want to think about that, because we had a piece of land, and if you don't put no trespassing, you're liable if anything happens.
We have the no trespassing signs with the
Nobody
phone
follows
number
them.
written right on there.
Yeah, there are some out there now.
And that's around the whole perimeter of the thing, you know what I mean? It took days to do that because we're trying to cover ourselves from liability, but here we're
Right.
talking about erosion. And, I just don't see it. I don't see how they're going to get through that. But I also don't think they're the main, they're
Right.
culprit. They caused it, but I have an issue on the side of that dirt road I have
Right.
leading up there. And I just have failed to maintain those locks. It's one of those things, I got to do it, and I just didn't do it. I know what I got to do. She saw it with me, and they just have to be dug out and recreated. So if you have the I'm doing this my whole life. If you have the proper erosion control, by the time the water still has to go, but the silt can be trapped, and by the time the water comes out the other end, you should be able to drink it. So
Yeah, and my perception of the situation had been that while like the trails going down the slope there was erosion from them, but I didn't perceive that to be nearly as significant as what was going under the road in the pipe. So, but the dirt coming off the trails, you could like see it visually on the road versus what was coming down along the ditch into the little retention area and crossing the road in a pipe. You don't see the mess on the road. It's just going straight to the brook. But to me, that seemed to be the larger impact, and it didn't seem like as much sediment coming off the trails as probably coming along the driveway ditch. But so yeah, we did talk about that on site, that just maintaining and really beefing up those check dams along the driveway would do probably a lot of good. And then otherwise I was trying to just figure out what that main source of that sediment getting there in the first place was. And again, I didn't see like some obvious breach or failure, but, or, that might just be the overall site. There's a, the site, the kind of active part of the site where the earthwork's going on, it's sort of like two-tiered. There's like an upper kind of staging equipment area, and then a steep access driveway down to the lower area where those retention basins are. And there is like one hillside that's bare, like fairly bare, that maybe could be hydro-seeded or something could be done there, because that could be, part of it is more likely draining to the diversions and into the basin. Part of it might go generally in the direction of the driveway and the ditches. It's hard to suss out exactly, but that might be some contribution to it. But yeah, it's like I was failing to find just some like smoking gun of here's the big, other than it's just a lot of open dirt, and just maybe it's just the sum total of like everything making its way there. But yeah.
one of the things I pointed out when we were up there, and I'm not like a big send videos to the town person, but like when I was there that morning, like the road itself was just brown. I mean, that was a lot of rain. It hit quick, and it was not like the water. And as you saw, Joanna, it was coming down the road. Like you can see channels are starting to get created in that road, and it was not on my side. It was on the other side. We'll call it the east side. So, which had zero coming from my land, but it was so intense and so violent that when it decided to enter Thrasher Brook, it like took a good part of the road with it, like to the point where if like a car had just driven up there, the car would have got stuck, and that had nothing to do with anything we were doing. We're not saying that we're not a contributor, and we know what we got to fix on our end, but there's certainly some other issues up there which I made the town aware of. So.
Yeah, I think, we mentioned that too, that, the road itself raises some questions, like what they can, again, if it was just a milled road in the middle of the woods, I'm not sure it would be as concerned, but with the brook running parallel to it right there, managing that a little differently. I do think, because there's so much activity going on in your site now on a property that was pretty quiet and stagnant for so much, it's like drawing a lot of attention across 100%. The town. The dirt biking thing, I grew up in this town. I know that kids have been riding up there for decades.
Yes.
I think there's more kids going up there now as a result. I think one of the concerns we have is, there's two separate issues. What's going on in your site and your driveway and your drainage ditch, this, hillside with the kids climbing and stuff. I think our concern is that's just going to get worse over time. So, I appreciate that you took some measures to kind of control the vulnerable spots right now and hopefully cut off some access. Like Joan said, if they're just going to find another area to destroy, I'm not sure, if you go further up the road, the brook is actually on your side of the road at that point, right?
Is.
So, if kids are coming onto the property there, they're going to be going right through the brook at that point,
this
right?
This is beyond it, though. The brook comes down, let's call it, the brook crosses, let's say, half a mile from the state line. We want them to go in, on the state line and come in that way. So right on where the Hamden, Massachusetts paved road, and Somers, Connecticut dirt road. That's way up past it.
But I guess that's what you want, but there's no way to control that.
Well,
and if you're letting people ride your property, does it make sense to put signage to say go this way and no dirt bikes on the hills or something?
We could, but again, with the town with me today, what was really cool is the bikes came. I didn't expect that. I was surprised. They took pictures of it. They stopped and looked at the old routes, which I have well blocked off now, and then they continued. They went to the state line.
Yeah.
And they went in the proper way. And then when we were in the work area looking at it, the bikes were down there riding around and stuff like that. So they had gone in the proper way because the two other ways have been blocked off by me.
Yeah.
So
didn't the Kibbe's I feel like they've run sanctioned dirt bike events up there on their property, haven't they?
They do, and mine. And they just came to me. They have a Netra circuit where they go to different landowners and then they'll start at Snipsick Lake in Tallinn and just make their way all through this little Netra circuit, and it's it's a big thing to those guys. And they got people on the side of the road giving them water and all that stuff. But yes, that still goes on.
So again, so now, you've opened up this property quite a bit. I don't know, I feel just word's out and the kids are oh, here's a cool spot. I would just ask that, you do what you can to kind of cut off access because that hillside is really attractive. If I was a kid with a dirt bike, I'd want to be ripping up it,
It's so steep, though. I'm wow.
And again, if it wasn't right next to the brook, I don't think this commission would have much to say about it. But, the brook is right there. So I just wanted to make the point on that with the dirt biking piece of it.
Yeah.
On the site itself, I've never seen up top. I don't know what it looks like. I trust the explanation you guys are given. The driveway itself, I've seen from the road, and it's pretty sizable driveway, and it kind of looks like there would be in a heavy rain like we just had quite a bit of just sheet flow coming down the driveway itself, separate from what that ditch is receiving.
Yeah.
And that's likely going to just go right across the road and add to the unstable road and whatever's coming down Old Hamden. And like you said, that stuff just goes right into the brook, washing out part of the road and stuff. So I don't know what could be done about that in terms of heavy rain events, controlling sheet flow down the road itself. But I think just the bigger concern I have from hearing this is that drainage ditch along the side. And is that so we have the stone check dams in place, but is the ditch itself stable in any way? Is there any material to keep the sediments from clogging the stone dams?
There might be some areas where I was, trying to look as we were going down, looking for any areas where the ditch itself was eroded, and it's some areas that could use a little attention, but nothing very dramatic that I saw. I was going to show you just a general.
Is it just naturally vegetated, or
No, it's not vegetated. It's like stone.
We've got that. We've got that 8-inch stone in there.
Yeah.
The whole thing is lined with it.
It's
with
not.
the-
It's not the. It's not consistent.
Yeah, so-
It needs improvement.
So it's just like one kind of section of it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not grassed. And it might be, I don't know, too steep in some areas to just be grass. But yeah, I think it could be better stabilized with stone.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of what we were dealing with Oak Ridge last year when they did that, dredging work there, and they kind of disturbed that whole drainage ditch, put the check dams in, but you still had all that unstable soil that just inundated the check dams, and it ultimately made it to the culvert. So like, the check dams slow things down, let stuff settle out, but somehow it's got to be engineered that we're not disturbing all that sediment to begin with. You got to keep it up top and not like the stone check dams are the last
Right.
resort. Really.
Yeah. Really, the premise of erosion and sediment control is to keep the soil from detaching in the first place and keep the soil where it is. And then things like silt fence are just like the last line of defense. And ideally, we wouldn't end up with sediment collecting anywhere like that. But
Yeah.
The stuff up top is contained. It's really just it's that dirt road and all the stuff around it and stuff like that. That's from the site is contained, but from there down, the silt gets going. And the sheet flow on the road, because it's millings and not dirt, like it does come out clear. However, listening to what you're saying, it's very easy, and I have a stockpile of millings there. Like I can do like a very subtle lift like that, and instead of having the water sheet all the way down, I could put these not a speed bump, but
Like
very
water
subtle.
bars.
And I can bring that water bar and bring it
That's
into
what I was
that
thinking about when you were
trench.
talking.
And then that trench, instead of having sporadic stone, really needs to be completely stoned. And then those locks need to be maintained until the engineer gives us the real deal that gets approved by the town. And I talked with them, and I walked the site after that rain event with them. And, they're saying wherever the road to the development ends up being, and they're not sure if it's there. It might come off of Old Stafford Road, you know what I mean, to go right through my property. We just don't know at this time. But wherever that is, and that road goes up, there's going to be swales on the side of it for the water to go. And he says instead of it just going and going and going, it's going to go to retention areas, like big, flat, seeded areas for the water to kind of, fill it up for, 6 inches, and it just goes back into the ground and just stops it right there. So, and he says when you have a site like that, there always has to be some
This
maintenance.
is like an engineer that you're consulting with?
It is, yeah, a firm out of Westfield, Massachusetts, and so they've done a lot of work for me before over the years, and they're taking care of everything.
Do you know what the time frame is for them coming up with a plan for this?
I don't know when he's going to be ready. I mean, I know he's at the time. I know it's a lot of work for them. It's it's a normal sized firm, but I would imagine he'll have the real plans in place within a couple months. Actually have a plan for me to take to the town for approval.
What's your thought on that? In terms of
Right.
all the heavy rainstorms we get between now and 2
I
months.
know, yeah. I mean,
But the zoning notice said submission to PZC no later than August 19 and application for approval of the plan. So I read that to mean that they wanted the plan by August 19.
would they be able to develop a plan for
Well, that's
the
what he
current
said.
site? Or
I'm talking about the whole thing
Yeah.
with the lots and everything like that.
Oh, okay.
But he thinks he can get something together to show just some quick stuff from an engineer on the drainage, where he's taking
Okay.
the calculations of the slope and the amount of open area and stuff like that, and doing his math and saying this is what we have to do. So, because there's obviously a science behind it.
Yeah, I think our goal is, can
Clean
protect
water.
Thrasher Brook, which starts with keeping everything on site, keeping that ditch, to only handle stormwater and not sediment, to the point that retention basin at the bottom is hopefully just getting clear water at that
Clear
point during
water.
heavy storm. Because that's, as you know, it goes right into the brook at that point.
Yes.
So there's not much room for it to settle out at that
Yes.
point,
Yeah, that's easy to do. Again, I mean, you don't know me, it's take my word, but I'm just saying, we got to get the plans. I can talk with them, see if I can get something so he can look at before that time. But in the meantime, I'd like to just scrape that out and get those locks in place so they're actually working. And I've seen them work. It's just right now they're filled up.
So is that like every time we have storms, like I wasn't around last week, but I heard we had another pretty good storm, but like do you have to inspect them after every heavy rainfall and see how much sediment builds up? And
I mean, I'm up there every day. It lasts a long time. I can go through, 8 good hard storms, and,
Yeah.
and you'll watch it. Like you'll have like a 2-foot lock, and like first storm you got 2 inches or so, 4 inches. And I watched it come up, but I didn't catch it in time, and I got to take care of that, which I will do. So it's right there. You could see it just driving up the road. See, that's the inspection, is you see it every day, and then when you're halfway up, you got to clean it out.
So you have work ongoing now for the erosion?
Yes. Yep.
so what is your thought, Joanna, with like being able to monitor progress between now and I guess a written plan that we're all on board with?
The town goes up there like it's a coffee shop. I mean, they're up there almost every day. It's ridiculous, but I mean, I think they keep a good eye on it. But go ahead.
But and I'm not in town every day. But what? I guess now you asked me a question, but I was going to ask you when you think realistically you'd be able to clean out the driveway
next week.
Okay.
By the end of next week, that'll all be done.
Okay.
So.
Because I'd like to see that, and I'm really excited to see the erosion control plan, and trying to think what in terms of next steps. I mean, that's the big thing is the plan and cleaning out the ditch.
Is that cleaning it out and like enhancing the stone along the whole length of the ditch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It should be 2 to 3 days.
So you got to bring material in to do that?
Just the rock. Just
Yeah.
that 6 to 8 inch rock from
Is
Becker's
that
over in
like I
Wellington.
have no idea? Like, is that quite a bit of material or?
It's going to need probably like 64-ish cubic yards of material, which is like 4 of those triaxle dump trucks, and that'll take care of that whole trench.
You're good with that, Joanna, though, in terms of a measure for now? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if you get something else from your engineer in the meantime that
Yeah.
differs, I mean, and I didn't get as far as to that point in my little intro, but that was when we were kind of wrapping up at the site today. That was really what I had seen as the next step, was maintaining and beefing up that ditch, because that just seems to be that main source of sediment getting into that pipe and going into Thresher Brook. And I wasn't seeing anything else really obvious that needed to be, things had been already addressed, like the basin up top and the trenches look much better today than a week ago. So a lot of things had already been addressed, but otherwise that was the main other issue that I saw as kind of the next thing that hadn't yet been addressed. So I think that would be the logical thing, to clean that out and beef it up while we're waiting for the plan from the engineer. But yeah, most of the other measures had.
and then we had asked for soil scientists to delineate at least part of the site,
Yeah,
right?
like, as part of, maybe not for this initial erosion control plan. I'm not sure if it might make more sense with the development plan. That would just be typical for a soil scientist to delineate any wetlands.
Yes, the engineer had George Logan up there. I don't know if
Okay.
you're familiar with that
Yes.
person, but he works in that field. So he's walked the site. There's nothing that he sees of anything that he's concerned with. However, they had told him that he's going to need to delineate any possible wetland that's on our, site. So.
Yeah, and then things that are off your property, like, I guess Thresher Brook technically is in the far corner on your property, but
Yes.
but otherwise, usually I'll ask the engineers to at least approximate those obvious resources on the plan, and then that way they can show where the 100-foot upland review area gets, and where your active earthwork site is like 300 to 400 feet away from Thrasher Brook. But if any measures are proposed, like on the slope or the driveway, the ditch, that would all be in the upland review area, so that
Yeah.
triggers conservation reviewing and permitting.
That work zone is like 1,800 feet from that brook, down from it.
Okay.
So, but we'll have all that on the plan. I mean, it's in a whole nother stratosphere.
You're talking about like a future plan for proposed development of the property?
Yeah.
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 So separate from that, because we have no, knowledge as to when or if that was to happen, like with regards to current conditions and, the sediment that been discharging the site like that, my concern is that retention basin that either was partially natural and the town,
I know, I haven't-
expanded it, or
yeah.
it was completely man-made, I don't know, but that's receiving the runoff, the sediment right now. And whether or not that, constitutes a wetland or not has implications for
Yeah.
how this, even if the property never gets developed, it has implications
I
of how
gotcha,
that
yeah.
needs to be managed,
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think I was perceiving that most likely that couldn't all happen in time for, this deadline to have the ENS plan, but
Well,
definitely
we can
we'd
set our
want
own
that.
deadline separate.
Yeah.
That's the,
Yeah.
the zoning order we're talking about anyway,
Right.
right? So within our order, we requested the wetlands delineation. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what a reasonable time frame is, but it's a pretty small area, and
well, but if they're delineating, I mean, I guess if you wanted to frame it as that specific area, but like the overall site is very
no,
large.
the overall
but-
site
okay.
is, I think, part of the bigger picture. of
Okay.
development,
Okay. Yeah, I
know?
think that's reasonable.
But this is the area that, we're concerned about it receiving direct discharges
Mm-hmm.
to, and whether or not that constitutes a wetland.
No, I can have George mark all that out and go take the samples and flag that off.
Yeah, and I don't even know if
Yeah, like
that
just
is that
along the road.
on his
I know
property,
that's the
or
thing, I
is
don't
it part
know.
of the town
Right, I
right away?
know.
I have no idea.
I don't know where the town right of way ends and his property
Town probably
begins.
doesn't know either.
I know.
Well,
Well, I
it's
guess
like
you'll figure it.
Most of it is on the town. The town's got that 10-foot strip off the side of the road. I mean, it's like the way they dug it. Some of it is on mine, and some of it is on theirs.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't. If that's something that you guys want to see, Mark, that's an easy thing to do. I mean, it's
Okay.
that's easy. The way that they have that pipe coming across Old Hampton Road, and I showed you this. I thought they did a very good job. The town, like they brought the water past the pipe and put it in this little holding area, which is that area we're talking about, and that has to fill all the way up with water until it goes out the pipe. When they did it, I'm just going to say 8 years ago, you might know better, whenever they did it, it was big and deep, so you could get a crazy rain, it would take it.
Oh, now
But
it's filled.
just like my channels, they haven't maintained, that I didn't maintain going up my road, they haven't maintained that. So I've watched silt over the years just build up, build up, build up. Now it really doesn't have much retention anymore.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So,
But 8 years ago, your road wasn't there, right?
it was, and I pointed it out
Oh,
to
it
them.
was?
Those roads were always there. It was just they were all grown in. We didn't
Oh,
build
so
those
they were-
roads.
oh.
Those roads were
Was
pre-existing.
the drainage ditch there?
The drainage ditch was not.
Okay.
I did that to thinking I was improving it. You know what I mean? So I wasn't getting all that sheet flow.
Did you have to get permission from the town to discharge to that retention basin, or that?
I
You're
didn't.
saying it's partially on your property, right?
I didn't. Some of it's on mine. Some of it's on theirs.
Yeah.
So.
I'm just wondering, because that I would think would play into the design of it, how much water it's got to handle,
Yeah.
all that's kind of changed now. But yeah, I don't know. I think that would just be helpful to know,
Yeah.
from the wetland, regulated wetlands perspective, if they could just look at the soils around that and
Along the
flag it.
road.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm always happy to walk the site with anybody. Just so you know, I live here too, so it's easy to walk up there and look at it. But no, in the meantime, I gotta get it set up. So the only thing, obviously, we're gonna get water. You know what I mean? The water has to go from high down. So, but I can have it set up. By next Friday. So the only thing coming out of there is just water you could drink. It's easy to do. It just has to be done.
Doesn't do it.
I will. No, I'll do it. So it's got to get done. So
So obviously, we're not going to like fully resolve this today, like to the extent of closing it out, but just because of the, you know, things that take a little more time, like the plan. But I don't know if you'd like to discuss. The order was very, you know, kind of absolute, and you know, in talking today, there was some activities that they'd like to still be able to do that may or may, you know, we could discuss possible limitations on things that might impact, might cause erosion or not, or, you know, what would be reasonable for them to do on the site in the meantime. So I just wanted to...
The stuff that I have going on up there has nothing to, you know what I mean, the stuff we're talking about is on that road. The stuff I have going on up there, as I said 30 minutes ago, it's all encapsulated with this giant basin that you saw it. And it has this beautiful rock trenches. That can't go anywhere. That stuff that's happening right in that work zone is not the issue. It's the stuff all coming down that road.
I hear you there, but this order requires that you stop all site work until it says no further site work aside from the installation of erosion control should occur without explicit authorization of the wetlands agent.
Yeah, I think they did that as kind of like a knee-jerk reaction, but when they went up there and saw it, I think that they...
Well, I think we can talk about that tonight, but that is what the order requires. So until we reach...
That's all I was bringing up, because when we were discussing it, and, you know, I had the other day sent a reminder or clarification that the order required all work to stop because, you know, we had heard resident concerns about possible other work continuing. And then, you know, so we discussed a little bit today about, you know, whether that needs to stay in place as restricted as it is currently. And so that's where, you know, sometimes we haven't had too many of these show cause hearings, but we've had some where we've modified the order at the hearing or at a subsequent continuation. So I knew that was like a concern, so I just wanted to bring that up.
No, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the work that's happening up top, you know, I mean, I understand there's a special use permit. We're not involved. I don't really know what's going on, but our concern, again, is focused on what's leaving the property, which is primarily, you know, that hillside and the driveway up and the drainage ditch. So, you know,
I don't know if it might be helpful to describe a little bit like what you're intending to do.
Maybe one
in the near
suggestion
future.
is just to finish that before anything else. Like when you went there today, we were all locked up. We've been doing stuff because we're bringing a lot of stuff down to the Summers event that's going on this weekend. So a lot of the big equipment we're bringing down so the kids can sit in it and stuff like that. So, you know, after that, you know, I can get up there and get everything sewed up. So, I mean, I think, you know, do that first. Make it so if we do get that big rain event, which we will get, that we're not having any silt come. And once that's set up, I think at that point I would expect to be able to do what I was doing back in there. But I think I should take my efforts and my resources and focus on what we're talking about here, fix that before I move on to something else.
Yeah, and actually, because this is a special meeting, it's not as much time. Usually, I have in my mind that we only meet once a month, so that's like a long time to wait. But in this case, we're meeting on an odd week, and our next meeting would be...
3 weeks from yesterday.
3 weeks from yesterday, so it's not quite as long as usual, but...
Joanne seems pretty good about meeting me. I mean, she could come up, I don't know if you work Wednesday or whenever it is the next week, she could come up and if I do it before that, she could maybe take a peek at it and just meet with me, and then if she's satisfied with it. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I would be inclined to leave the cease order in place temporarily while you finish the erosion work, you know, the basic.
Yes.
Like you said, in case we do get rain again.
Yes.
And then it could be a matter of not very long. And once that initial work is finished, I wouldn't think there would be a particular reason to have you ceasing the rest of your work. But I'd rather kind of hold you hostage on that one to just to
Yeah.
be sure that,
Yeah.
you know.
I just don't want to wait for another meeting. I would like, the
Oh,
town
yeah.
to be able to
Yeah,
peek at
no,
it.
no.
I was
Joanna-
forgetting there was that language in there that
It
I
said
could
you
give permission.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was more worried about waiting for
You
him.
better be careful about that.
Yeah, I know. So, okay, so that's
No, we wouldn't be waiting the 3 weeks
Okay.
necessarily.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm typically in Tuesday and Thursday mornings, but then sometimes
No.
things change or whatever. Like today, because we were having a meeting, I came in this afternoon. But yeah, we could work that
Or
out.
we harass you on a Friday.
So, with that said, like the clock's ticking till the next 2-inch thunderstorm comes. So, do I have to keep my work to within these parameters of the special use permit for rocks and topsoil and stuff like that? Or can I just work this as if it was a normal job site of mine? Like, do I have to wait till 7:30 in the morning and stop at 4:30? Or can I do this how I normally would just like work in somebody's backyard? Which sometimes we work late.
Well, if you work in someone's backyard, isn't there still? I'm looking at the zoning officer, but
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
know.
all night. I'm just saying to do something like
Yeah.
this. Like the guys are great. And I got a couple of guys here that are supporting me, and these
Yeah.
are guys that would come in after, really help me out after work.
So
get up there.
I would say this. Oh, sorry.
No,
Go
no.
ahead.
I thought there were work parameters on any site, but I don't. That's not what I'm like. My purview is.
I mean, I don't know.
Daytime hours and nighttime hours, just to interject
Okay.
for you to help you out.
Thank you.
And I think what he's saying is, can he work on this erosion control
outside of
outside of his approval of 7:30, which in my opinion, I would say,
Okay.
and you can relay it to
Yeah.
the commission that I think that he should be able to work. It's 7:30 to 4. I think that's reasonable for erosion control, but those restrictions are on his special use permit, which is for
Yeah.
the boulders and rocks and the.
Yeah, and it's not something we would specify anyway.
Okay.
That you would take that up
But
with
if you're not doing your rock work up there, but you're doing the erosion work, I don't see why you would need to be doing it after hours.
Because the guys doing it, it's our prime season right now for building swimming pools. So
Right,
the-
but you're up there doing work during the day anyway, right?
Though not every day, and the guys that are doing that type of work aren't the guys that I want to do this work.
Oh,
Like this work
okay.
is like that work up there is like take boulder, put it in the truck. Do this. You need like the guys behind me that have a lot of experience with this. They know what I'm talking about when I say I want drinking water coming
Wait,
out.
these are the guys that are going to do the work?
Yeah,
Oh, you got to get them up here.
That's good that they're here, though.
The 100, they actually contacted me saying, "Can I come?" I said, "Sure." So I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty nice of them,
Yeah.
to give up their evening to come as you guys are giving up yours.
But are they getting paid?
No, I'm not sure. I haven't checked their timesheets.
It'll be in the meeting minutes now.
Overtime.
You were going to say something.
Well, just on the time thing, like I don't know the details of the special use permit. I mean, this is like
Yeah.
what's kind of I find particularly frustrating with this because you've got the resources to like this has been going on. This site work has been going on for at least a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know. And we've kind of dealing with this reactively a couple times now, going back to December. And I mean, I would just ask that you get this taken care of in short order. I mean, I
Yes.
feel like you got the resources to do it in reasonable
I do.
time of day that you're not going to disrupt the neighbors. I know there's not that many neighbors, but there's enough neighbors that people can hear the heavy machinery.
Yep.
And just being respectful of that, like how that fits in the special use permit and other things. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
even want to pretend to
Yes.
know.
It's not going to be a dark thing. It's not going to be 5 in the morning. It's nothing going to be like that. It's just, we might sneak outside the window if we got 2 hours left that we can finish it up by 7
just
o'clock at
be
night. I'd like to finish
transparent, good communication with Joanna. If somebody calls and says what's going on,
Sure.
and say, all right, they're fixing something. We got a storm coming this weekend, and we want to get it buttoned up in time. And
Yeah.
But generally,
yeah,
we would defer to zoning on that, on like the time parameters and the noise. Like,
Yeah.
not,
Okay.
yeah.
it. Okay.
No, talking about noise. Thank you. And water runoff.
Drinking water.
Taking care of it.
Drinking water.
Good demonstration. Okay. So it sounds
So
like
he's gonna make those improvements
Contact
and
you.
Contact me.
you presumably prior to our next meeting. You're gonna hopefully be able to sign off on that, and then by next meeting we may be in a position to act further on the order? Is that?
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have some plan, like whatever plan your engineer's working on for zoning for, ENS and stormwater in the interim, to provide that to me as well. And hopefully we'd have that for the next meeting.
My hunch is that they're because that's involves like road in a whole nother place. My hunch is they're going to have to do something special for
not
this.
the full
They're gonna
plan.
have to
Yeah,
go up there and do the do the calculations as to what they have, and just do something and say, hey, this is what's going to take care of what they have going on right now.
Yeah.
And then there'll need to be another plan when we do the development.
Yeah, that's all I meant was the interim
Yep.
plan, because it'd be great to have that for the next meeting, and then yeah.
So did you have any other questions for us or Joanna regarding this?
I don't at this time. I'm good.
I'm still trying to figure out how we got to this point after reading some of our zoning regs, but that's another whole issue that we need to be communicating with zoning better, and that's not on you. I just feel a lot of this could have been prevented a long time ago instead of us always having to react.
Yeah, I think it's on me in the sense that I knew it. I have to maintain those locks. I mean, it's pretty damn
Right,
simple. I
but
didn't do it.
there could have been requirements put on you a long time ago so that you wouldn't be playing catch up now.
Yeah.
But again, that's a whole separate issue. So, okay, so if we're all good, and you can always ask Joanne if you have any questions, and she'll be sure to get my input before she makes any rash decisions.
Okay.
So, was this on the P&Z agenda tonight too, or no?
No.
No.
I wasn't. Okay.
No, he didn't have to go before then.
It's like a different process with orders for the planning.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
And I'll in the meantime.
Yeah, you're all set.
Thank you.
There you got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Take care. Like I said, if anybody ever wants to go up there, just let me know.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
I wanted to go up one day, but I was warned I might not legally be able to, so I didn't.
If you bring your dirt bike, you can go.
Yeah.
Okay, staff report.
Okay. So, looking back at all my notes, there was a lot of kind of current ongoings, like the item we were just discussing in last month.
So thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
To react to, respond to, time consuming. Otherwise, it's been a lot of typical, just huge influx of pools, decks, sheds, that kind of stuff. So a couple new houses. Let's see, a couple things related to wetlands. I've had some inquiries regarding 35 Therese Drive, which those who have been in the commission a long time, that had been a very challenging approval many years ago, and that permit's been renewed several times. It's a very, very tight lot, and so there's been inquiries about building on that lot. Recently, someone inquired about, if they were to buy that lot, whether they could put a pool on it, and it is very challenging. I sent a very, very lengthy email trying to explain all the parameters, but so apparently that one's for sale, so something to keep our eyes out for, which is going to be a challenging one. The event space at Worthington Vineyard that we approved now had applied for their building permit, which I was able to sign off on. I also heard from more on the conservation side. I heard from apparently in Stafford there's a milfoil commission for I can't remember if I sent that to you. Oh no, because it was a phone message. there's a milfoil commission in Stafford, and they're reaching out to surrounding towns, wondering if there's any group in town dealing with, that's an aquatic invasive plant. That's quite a nuisance. I had reached out to Public Works to see if they knew of anything that I hadn't thought of, but
Weren't they dealing with that in Ellington?
yeah,
Because I know this is a new issue they've developed on.
Are they looking
Staffordville
for
Lake.
work? Or what are they looking
I don't
for?
know if they're looking.
They've discovered an issue at Staffordville Lake, which is a
Oh, they're wondering if it's
huge and
spread.
beautiful.
And I think they
Yeah.
want to maybe converse with other towns dealing with it and get
Right.
ideas. So yeah, I thought,
But I don't think we ever have.
yeah, I couldn't think of anything, and I had asked Public Works if they knew of anything, and all I could think of was like maybe the Scantic group might have some thoughts, or but that was kind of something thought provoking. Otherwise, over on Grower Direct's main site, 164 Hampton Road, they're still kind of recovering from the fire up there, and they're going to be putting in a large water tank. As I was reviewing the whole file drawer I have from that property, there's been many issues in the past under prior leadership. Things have been more following proper procedures, and for the most part in recent years. But trying to review site plans, figure out exactly where the wetland line is, and whether they were within 100 feet or not became quite an exercise. So I did speak with them about creating an updated plan, an updated wetland delineation, because so much has happened on that property, and I have an older delineation, and it's clearly things had been approved that did impact wetlands, but I have no revised plan showing, okay, where's the wetland line now, some clear cut thing, so I could just look at a proposal and determine if they need a wetland permit or not. In the meantime, for this water tank, they had their soil scientists go out and they wrote me a letter attesting that there were no wetlands within 100 feet, so that I could at least not hold up the water tank. But I made it conditional on having an updated as-built plan with a new wetland delineation. So that I won't sign off on the certificate of completion until we have that, and they agreed to that. So hopefully we'll get a new cleaned up site plan there to make things easier in the future. But yeah, those were the main wetland related items. Otherwise, just
Pools.
so much other stuff, and erosion on sites that don't have wetlands, and messes. I need to follow up with a couple sites I went out to today, but yeah, just the usual. Yeah, but just a lot of the usual. It's just been a really busy summer. But
Motion to approve her report.
I'll make a motion to approve the staff report.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Is there
Correspondence
no
and bills?
public participation on a
Nope,
special
not on a
meeting?
special meeting, nope. Correspondence and bills.
So yeah, I don't think there was. I did get correspondence regarding every time they are going to apply an herbicide treatment on Shady Lake, we're notified. So there was a notification within the last week, and then also the Scantic River water quality monitoring is. I think they just did their last testing of the summer. I guess this summer, Dr. Martin, I think she had knee surgery or something, and she's been relying a lot more heavily on students doing the sampling. So she's having to end it a little early this year. She just can't get down to do the sampling herself. But normally she'd extend it further. But so that's wrapping up. But yeah, otherwise I just have this JI bill from July for $47.22.
Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the Journal Enquirer bill for July at $47.22.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Minutes approval, July 1, regular meeting. I didn't see anything significant. Couple typos that we won't mention.
Okay.
because they don't matter.
Yep. Make a motion to approve the minutes from July 1st, 2026.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
Ooh.
Dan, you want to
Do
make a
it,
motion
Dan.
to adjourn?
Make the motion to
Dan.
adjourn, Jan.
Dan did.
Or do you want to stay here all night?
Dan made it, Drew seconded it.
Okay, 7:25.
Can't make him make it. All right.
All right, thank you all for
Thank you.
showing up.
Oh, I should make sure to save this. I didn't
Unplug.
save it before.